Hey guys, welcome back for another 5-minute EMS review. My name is Caleb, and today we are talking about how you can build a trainer for a surgical cricothyrotomy. Let's get to it. Alright, so surgical cricothyrotomy is one of those skills, one of those procedures that is very high acuity but is also very low frequency. It's something when you need it, you need to be able to do it quickly and efficiently and get it done right. However, it is also a skill that is very perishable. If you do not practice it, you will lose it, and you want to be confident when you're going into a need to give somebody a surgical airway. So definitely something that I think in EMS probably is not practiced nearly as much as it should be, and I think we can remedy that with some good inexpensive trainers that you can work on around the station or at home. So I have been fortunate enough to receive some really good training when it comes to cricothyrotomy, and have been shown some different ways, watched some different videos on how you can make a really simple trainer. So I want to talk about a few things in regards to that and show you what you can do to make yourself a trainer that you can use to practice. So you're going to need a few materials. I've got them laid out here on the table for you. We'll kind of highlight that real quick. Got just a piece of cardboard that's going to serve as the platform for me to build everything on it. Got some corrugated tubing, which I'm going to use for the trachea. I stole this from my son's cache of toys, but you could get something very similar in an old BVM or a nebulizer kit, just any type of corrugated tubing. We're going to need some tape of some kind. We're going to need some self-adherent bandage. This works really well as the actual cricothyroid membrane for you to cut through. Some foam for the soft tissue. This is actually air conditioning weather stripping that I bought at Lowe's, and it's about 1 inch square, and you just cut enough of it out you can tape over and have used as the soft tissue. And then finally on top, some gaffer's tape that people will use who are running soundboards and stuff like that to tape electrical cables and sound cords down to the floor so people won't trip on them. That works really well for the skin. Some scissors and a scalpel when you want to go to do the procedure. It's nothing glamorous, but in the end, we're looking for something like this. You should be able to palpate it, feel some landmarks, and actually perform a procedure on it. And then if you have enough of the materials left over, reset and do it as many times as you want. So let's talk about how we can do it. First, you want your corrugated tubing. You want to cut off a section that's long enough to simulate the larynx and a little bit of the trachea. And you're going to cut an opening in the corrugated tubing that is large enough to be the area of the cricothyroid membrane between your thyroid cartilage and your cricoid cartilage or cricoid ring. So cut that opening. Next, what I did is I actually took some tape and went around it circular on the top of the opening to make a prominence to simulate that thyroid cartilage on the top. And then below the opening, I ripped the tape in half to make a smaller cricoid ring. That way, once everything's in place and I'm palpating over the tubing, I can actually feel some difference in elevation to actually feel those landmarks. So that's what you want to do there. Next, what I'm going to do is put the cricothyroid membrane in place on the corrugated tubing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this self-adherent bandage and I am going to wrap it tightly around the corrugated tubing to make a membrane, and then cut that off and make sure it's secured in place. Something like that. Set that off to the side. So now I've got that in place, and now I want to find where my opening is, and now you can see you've actually got a soft membrane that you can feel there and the prominence above and below it. So that's great. So that's what we want, and that's what you're going to be cutting when you do your practice for your trainer. So now we need to get it roughly in place just so it's not going to go anywhere. So a little bit of tape to hold it down should do the trick. Like so. And at this point, we should be looking something like this. Got your corrugated tubing, got your prominence above and below with the opening in the middle, and you've got your self-adherent bandage covering the opening to serve as the membrane. All right, so next you want to take this piece of foam, and this is what you're going to be cutting through to simulate the soft tissue. So that's going to go in place over the membrane, and what you'll want to do is get a piece of this gaffer's tape. This is going to serve as your skin. So you're actually going to have to, when you use your scalpel, feel a little bit of the skin. Basically, it gives you a good feel for cutting through the skin. So you'll get that sensation of cutting the skin, cutting through the soft tissue, and then you're going to have to actually get through the membrane below. So we'll get that tissue in place over the membrane, tape this down nice and firm, get that in place. All right, and that really should be about it. All right, you may need to put a couple more pieces of tape on there just to kind of anchor it in place so that this tape serving as the skin does not come up and pull away from your cardboard. So you can put a piece there, you can put a piece here, and that should do it for you. All right, so what you end up with should be something like this. You can palpate the soft tissue and feel the membrane below. You've got your opening there that you're gonna cut and then eventually pass your ET tube through, and this will work, and it's super inexpensive. Now, I have one more thing I can show you. Unfortunately, the link that I got this from is no longer active online, which I was really disappointed about that. But if any of you are tech savvy or have any knowledge with 3D printers, you can actually form a 3D printed larynx. So if you look at this, it's actually in the shape of a larynx where you have the thyroid cartilage up top, you've got the opening for the membrane, and then you've got the cricoid ring and the beginnings of the trachea below. And this will work great as well. And basically you follow the exact same steps. You'll put a membrane on it, you'll put some foam over it for soft tissue, some gaffer's tape for skin, and then you can use this exact same thing right here. So if any of you can find a way to get this printed and share a file with everybody, please feel free to let me know. You can share it in the comment sections. But that's all I got for you today. Stay tuned for another video coming out about the actual procedure for performing a surgical cricothyrotomy, and we will see you on the next one.